And yes, we are live. We have Sarah in the building. It is an amazing, amazing time being here today. I am particularly excited. Trust me, you're going to have an awesome, awesome, awesome journey. Sarah is streaming all the way from England, and she will be sharing on my intentional parenting journey. And today, she's also sharing, she's a nurse, a practicing nurse, and we're going to be listening to Sarah to hear all of the way somebody said to me, how do you do it? How do parents that are very busy, you know, able to manage intentional parenting, manage coming, life, manage too many things to ask. But while we ask all of those too many things, one of the things that I would like you to note today is that it's possible. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you for being here. Please kindly introduce yourself. Tell us how you met Inner Circle, and then how you met the intentional parents, and then how you also joined the Inner Circle program eventually. Over to you, Sarah. Okay, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. I do not take this opportunity for granted. My name is Sarah Shadrach. I am a mother of two lovely boys, a 6 years old and a 3-year-old boy. I joined the Inner Circle first time. It was through the No Yelling Challenge, which my husband found on Facebook, shared by a friend. And at that time, I was looking for a way to do it, not to yell and not to shout, not to beat, but I didn't know how to go about it. So my husband saw this, and because he already knows what I wanted, so he was like, "Oh, look at this." And then as soon as I saw it, I didn't think twice. I just registered immediately. So by the time he came back and was asking, "Have you gone through it?" I said, "I've registered already." Do you know what you're registering for? I said, "Well, I've registered. I had a brief of read about it, and I've been praying really for God to lead me somewhere to get this thing right." So this was at that time I was pregnant with my last child. That was 2021 No Yelling Challenge, which I did, and then I signed up for the 2022 cohort, Inner Circle. And that's how I joined. My journey is wonderful. It's wonderful, and a lot of ups and downs, but it's part of the becoming.
Awesome. We're
I
going
can't
to
hear
hear
you.
that journey today, and that's why we're here. We're here to hear all of it. We're here to listen to all of it. And yes, welcome and welcome and welcome. Hello, Yadas. I see you guys. It's awesome to see you. Somebody said our guest speaks so nicely. Okay, so tell us what happened to you from the No Yelling Challenge and into the Inner Circle. What convinced you to actually get into the Inner Circle? That should be 3 years ago. Am I correct?
Yes, that's so I signed up in December. Oh, in November. We started December. So that's 2022 cohort.
Okay. All right. All right, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So when I joined the No Yelling Challenge, before the challenge, I think we got the book, the No Yelling Challenge book, which we received, I think. So I went through the book, and then while at it, I also heard of Connect to Correct and The Discipline That Worked. Those were the first two books actually that I ordered from the Inner Circle. So when I read this book, I didn't have a second opinion. I didn't second guess anything. I just knew that it was the right place for me. I have tried other people. Now, not coaches, not trained coaches, but when you live in a society where lots of advice come from different people. Now, I'm not a person who just takes advice from anybody. I try to sieve it, but there's a limit to the sieving of information if you don't have a structure in place. I remember the first time I ever laid hands on my son. I think he was 2 years old then, was because a friend told me, you need to don't spare the road and spoil the child. I didn't want to be a parent that beat from the beginning, but I didn't have a structure. I didn't want that, but I don't know how else to do it. So I joined the No Yelling Challenge and then walked through the No Yelling Challenge. I didn't do much at that time because, as coach will always say, just attending one webinar. Yes, you get the resource, but it's not enough. You need to be in the cycle. You need to be in the accountability system to anchor the learning you've got. So I started implementing, and then I realized that I'm getting results. Although my child was still small at that time, I didn't know that getting advice from people who are not trained based on what they had passed down to them by so many other people, I was just making a mess of my journey. And then one other person that I admire so much is my mother-in-law. I realized that my husband cannot tell you when he was beaten by his mom, but my mother-in-law commands the house. She's got 8 children and they all listen to her. I've never heard her shout or raise her voice. She has this subtle voice, and I like that. So when I got the structure from the No Yelling Challenge, I gave it a try. So I did the 2022 cohort, and then come 2023, I dropped out in 2023. Now the reason why I said my journey is wonderful is because my journey is just like the prodigal son in the Bible. And and it's exactly, when I say prodigal son, and I mean it, is exactly like the prodigal son. So because of certain transition, change of environment and movement like that, I allowed it to be a good excuse not to continue in the cycle, because at certain point I was like, for 5 weeks I was away from my children. So that means the tools for the days, I couldn't do certain ones that need me to be with them and all those things like that. And then, this overwhelming change of environment, I dropped out. But just like the prodigal son, I left home. When I say home, I mean the yard. I left home with the resource I had. And I believe, like the prodigal son, from the beginning, he didn't feel the impact of leaving home because he had the resources he left home with. Yeah. Now, but then when your resourcefulness is not, your resources is not replenished, when you don't add up, it diminishes. So I'm very sure when the prodigal son left home, he was very, very okay because he had something to keep him going on. But then as time goes on, resources start to diminish. And then there's nothing to refill it. And then apart from resources finishing, the accountability of his father wasn't there. There's no one to call you and say, hey, don't do that. No, hey, do this, do the other. So I lost accountability from the yard. I didn't realize that I felt I was okay because I still had the connection tools. I was still carrying on the connection to repeating everything together, the knowledge, applying it, and I had courses. I felt, I was there already. And then because I was already seeing some results, and a lot of the results are people outside tell me, they're like the testimonies of people around me saying it to me before I realized, this is actually a result from the circle. So when I left, I went out there like the prodigal son. So I thought I had everything together until when it came to a point where I was empty. Not because I've forgotten all I was taught, but because I knew that I needed refilling. I needed a system where I know that someone is there to hold my hand. I felt like I was ripped off. Like, when you see 10,000 lions chasing you, I felt that I was out on the streets with no guidance. Of course, I'm a Christian. I pray to God all the time. But I am a person that, apart from walking with God, I believe in leveraging on the wisdom of people who have gone ahead of me. I believe in mentorship. I believe in mentorship so well. So I I decided, like the prodigal son, to come back home.
Hmm.
When I sent a message to coach that, after you sign up, you send a message to coach just to catch up. As the prodigal son, I thought coach would say something. Just like, the prodigal son, though he felt like, oh, I could just be a servant, one of the servants of my father. I thought coach would say something. Fortunately, when I sent the message, the response was exactly the same as I did the first time I joined the circle. There was no difference to it. There was nothing. I said, okay. I felt like the warm embrace of the father of the prodigal son. And anytime coach mentioned be a yada and remain so, I just felt she didn't want to call my name. She just didn't want to mention my name. So excuse me. So I don't feel so I
Oh
don't
my
feel bad.
Hmm.
So anytime I hear this, I remember my journey. And
Hmm.
testing being in the yard and being out of the yard. Now, I'm not telling you something I heard from somebody. This is something I experienced. Having these two experiences of being in the yard, stepping out of the yard, I tell you, it's not something I would encourage anybody to be. And if I should say anything to anyone, it be a yada and remain so. There's
Hmm.
something about having a system where you are held accountable. You can read
Yeah.
all the resources, you can attend all the inner circle courses, do whatever you do all the webinars and all that. But I tell you, without that sustenance, without that system that hold you together,
Hmm.
every morning I know that there's a place I need to go to.
Hmm.
I go to the yard, check all the messages. To be honest, it's not as if I implement the tool every day on the day they are posted. Some of the tools, because of one, the nature of my work and the age of my children, I I reschedule some of the tools to later days. And then sometimes I find myself repeating some tools. So for example, we are reviewing the month. So I can input something like maybe just chat, just 10 minutes chat with the children, and things like that. So sometimes I repeat. So I am not 100% on doing the tools, but I know that I'm trying.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So when Sarah said, when coach said be a yada remains so, I feel like it's a personal attack. Ah, honestly speaking, in fact, it was Timmy who accused me and said, Coach. So, I now left for 1 year. She actually came and told me, I need to leave for 1 year. I will come back, blah, 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 and all of that. I was like, okay. When she came back, she said, Coach, the next time you shouldn't have allowed me to not be in the yard. I said, but I there's no how I can. You need to really understand. Somebody wrote something in the comment section, and that's how it is. You know, she said, I'm looking for it. She said, once saved is not forever saved. There is need to keep working out your salvation. And, you know, the Bible talks about being saved. A lot of the times people get born again and then they leave their born againism to the world. It will crash. It's the same thing. I like how Sarah put it. She said, I went I thought I had resources like the prodigal son. In fact, this analogy is it. Many times you just say, I see no enough. I've learned it now. I have the tools. I have the connection. In fact, I can even go on ChatGTP bar and curate the thing and just be doing it. Like she said, the resources will finish and then you will have it all, right? And you see that, okay, every day you wake up, there's something about systems. So a lot of people actually, come into the inner circle and say, I've been listening to you Tuesday live. Is it not this one, Diologe? I know what she says. I know what it is. And then they stay 1 year and they're like, okay, it's not the same. I tell you a very funny story. Over the weekend, we were at the couples retreat, couples conclave of the Marriage Still Academy. It was one of the most amazing experiences of our lives. All right. And of course, shout out to you, conclavites. But somebody was sharing something with me and she said, I heard you, she's in Masterpiece Cohort 5. And she said, I heard your voice notes in Masterpiece. My husband is a yada, right? He's one of the oldest yadas we have. He's 70. He had his wife, who is also, one of the oldest yada mothers we have. And he said, I heard my wife listening to Masterpiece. And I said, no, that cannot be my coach. That's not her. She doesn't, this is another voice. And then the wife said, coach Masterpiece is different from, what it is that you're seeing here. Let me say this. The coach outside of inner circle is a different person inside the inner circle. In case you have followed every day and all of that. And I like how Sarah has a way with words. It is just, it's just amazing. She said, when I came back, I thought I was going to get okay. The truth is, so I told someone, a yada, who returned back, and I said, you start all over again. That's how it is. You start, it's as if you're restarting, it's as if, so you're restarting your journey. That's what happened to the prodigal son. The prodigal son had to start from the beginning. You can't do it, you can't, it's not something that you do, you come back, you run off, you come back, you run off, you get back. No. You need to be steady enough to actually be able to get rooted. To share. I think I love this prodigal daughter analogy. It is really, really awesome. Thank you again for sharing that. Sarah said one of the things that made me drop off the bandwagon is, I'm busy, I'm not around. Hey, I will continue next year. Hey, I will come back later. That's how that's how it sounds. No, I'm going to be okay when I get, everywhere. When I come back, I will be, my child will still be there. Your child will not be there waiting for you. And the system that it is that you build will not also be there waiting for you. Right? So be a yada and remain so. That's Sarah's number one advice this morning to you. And I think that comes to everybody, whether you're a new yada or you're an old yada, be a yada and remain so. Now, talk to me, Sarah. What are the things? Let me ask the questions that my team members asked. I was listening to my intentional parenting journey yesterday. I heard it. I was like, interesting. So, what are the quotes that are your best hits in the inner circle, right? The things that the inner circle, apart from be a yada and remain so, according to you, you think that you will target to that statement. All ye that feel guilty when I say it, please, I don't remember you people. So please, talk to us. Your 3 top best quotes in the inner circle.
Well, first of all, the first one I would say is parenting is about me and not my child. And another one is comfort is the burial place of kings. The third one, now, Coach, you're making me think now. A lot of them are dropping. I don't know which one I will say that, which one I'll pick for the top. Let me see. Another one is excuses are cheap. Those who make them are not wise. Yeah, and that's because being a nurse. So I am a nurse. My husband is a doctor. The world sees us as busy people, but we have to come to terms. I remember I said something to somebody at work, and the person kept repeating the same thing. I told them, so they were like, "Oh, being a parent is not easy." And in this part of the world where I am is something else. Being a parent is not easy. I told them, I said, yes, it's not easy. But remember, I made the choice to become a parent. So, of course, I knew that raising somebody, although I didn't know this to this extent, but I knew that raising somebody is not going to be easy. So I chose to have not one, even 2. So I'm ready. So that's just my way of saying it is a choice I made. I made the choice to become a parent, so I should walk the journey of parenting. And
Mm.
when I came to the inner circle, the first quote I ever heard in the inner circle is parenting is about you. I think I read it in Connect to Correct or Discipline that was one of them. Parenting is
That's
not
correct.
about you. That's before I even heard it from coach. I had read the
Mm.
book. Parenting is about you, not your child.
Your child.
I came to inner circle to become yes. I came to inner circle to become a better parent. But then I realized that I'm actually becoming a better me more than even becoming a better parent. So parenting is now beginning to look like a natural thing
Mm.
because I am becoming. So every other part of me is becoming. I'm a lover of learning. I see learning as a spiritual gift. I just love to learn. I just love to learn. But reading is not something I would say I do a lot. So I can sit down, attend webinars, attend courses, listen to somebody. But to pick a book and read on my own is not it's not really an easy thing, except probably if the presenter of something makes a reference to the book. So I go back to read, like the Bereans they mentioned in the Bible, who go back to read. But being in the inner circle, I'm just looking at my bookshelf this morning. I'm just laughing. I'm
Mm.
just laughing at the number of books I have read. Some of them are not just Coach Wendy's book as per Inner Circle curriculum book. Some of them are the ones I heard Coach mention during a webinar. I know things like
Mm.
essentialism. I've heard essentialism from Coach, and so many other books that Coach would just accidentally chip in, and then some of us would just put it down and then we pick it. So these three codes, I always say they are the ones at the top of my head now. I have so many others. I have so many, many, many others. I mean, I speak inner circle, I walk inner circle, I do inner circle.
I love it. I speak inner circle. I walk inner circle. I do inner circle. When you see yadas who are yadas, who speak yadarically, like we love to say, you will see it, you will see it, you will smell it, you will feel it. And yes, we have Sarah Shadrach, who is a yada. She's a nurse. This morning she said to me that she works in the ambulance system. That means she's quite, very busy. People ask, how do people who get busy, just mentioned, you live in England, you are a nurse, your husband is a doctor. That's two, career that is in the front line. And of course, you have children to raise. And of course, according to Sarah, I would have been shocked if you didn't say that one of your best quotes was excuses are cheap. Those that make them are not wise. Because it's been in your journey right in front of you, looking at you like excuses are truly cheap, right? And the truth of the matter is that it's so easy to make excuses. It's so easy. It doesn't take time. Making excuses is just, doing the work is harder. So excuses are better. So they are cheap. And at the end of the day, you see that there's no wisdom in excuses. Now, Sarah, talk to us. How do you get to manage and be able to understand that your parenting is also important? When you get after you came out of you came out you came out of the place where you think coach is calling your name, and you now decided to do this thing, what changed? What made you, come to the place where you say, see, this thing, I want to do it differently, and I want to stop making excuses? Over to you.
The first thing is structure. Oh, I mean, structure is, I'm proud of myself for structure. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm definitely where I used to be.
Mm.
And the thing with structure is I realize it reduces a lot of stress for me
Mm.
because like one of my friend had to ask me, because first of all I learned how to use things like Canva in inner circle. So if you come to my house, there are a lot of pasted things on the wall. Instructions are just everywhere like a
Mm.
cinema. There's no problem. So I do that because I try to when you do the understanding your child's learning style, I studied my children and I understand that they have a bit of everything. They have a bit of all the learning styles. Yeah, they have the core ones, but I didn't want to neglect one aspect of the learning style. So what I do is to my advantage and to their advantage. I use things like pasting. So when coach talked about, when I went to the training, I don't know which of the learning style courses. I don't know if it's this which year, but I know that one of the learning style courses that, so I do structure, I do routine, I paste it on their bed, on their bed head. At the door
Mm,
entrance of my house, for example, I have a routine for back to school. When you come back to school, you take off your shoes, put your clothes, and all those things. I have for toilets in my toilet. It's just everywhere pasted. So it gave me structure. And although with little children, you still have to repeat things, but for the fact that
yeah.
they see pictures, so I'm engaging with the visuals. They see
Even with teenagers,
pictures. They
you have
see
to
what they're
repeat
supposed
a
to
lot.
eat. Yeah, yeah. So, so it reinforces a lot of things, and I get to rest. I tell you, I work night shifts, but I still
Mm,
get to rest.
mm,
Auntie Etima came with rest as a skill and
mm,
nailed everything all together. I rest, even with that. It's just planning, put on structure. So the structure I got from Inner Circle made me to understand that I have to schedule my days. What is important? What can wait? What need to be done now? And what need to be allocated to others. For
mm.
example, my son washes dishes now, so I know that the dishes I've allocated it to the 6-year-old to do that one. So that one is out of my own. I do it anyway. He wouldn't do it perfectly, but I do it anyway. And when I spoke to, I remember I spoke to a colleague one time ago. Three of them, they all have children who have just gone to secondary school. That's the first year in secondary school. So they are about
Yeah.
10, 11, they're about, or 12, they're about the ages. And then when I had somebody say, "Oh, I have to wake up in the morning and cook for my children, cook for do this, do this," I was like, "How old are these children that you are having to wake up early morning to do for?" And then meanwhile, in my parenting plan for the year, that's at the beginning when coach asked us to do the parenting plan. So I didn't do just for the year. I did short and long term goals. And my goal is by that 10 years old, I will not wake up in the morning to do any school thing for anybody. So when I see, and then I'm beginning to see that yes, it's achievable because for the steps I have now, I know that, in fact, before that 10 years, I will be able to achieve this. So
Mm,
when I speak for people who are outside the inner circle, they think you are just saying things you read in books or saying, things like that. you know. I remember one of the colleagues I spoke to about this came back to me. She asked me, "How do you do it?" I said, "Let's start from Coach Ebuka. Let's join the Boys Leadership Academy." And then she immediately signed up her son to the Boys Leadership Academy because my 6-year-old is also in the Boys Leadership Academy. We start from there. So Inner Circle gave me structure, and I honestly, Coach, I didn't expect. I didn't prepare for this question, so I can give you a structured answer. But I just know that that structure I get from Inner Circle, it helps me manage my day, manage my schedule, manage my energy. And I cut down a lot of things. In fact, I
mm,
cut down even the amount of time I spent talking to my family. That's my
mm,
mother, my father, my siblings,
mm,
because I needed
mm,
to conserve time and energy for other things that
mm.
are relevant. I cut down having to chat with friends and all that because I needed to pursue purpose. I call my parenting purpose. I needed to pursue purpose. So that gave me that structure.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. And I love that you didn't prepare for the question. That's the whole idea, for you to actually be able to give us those spontaneous questions that you have. Now, let's get into the conversation really. Tell us, what has been the difference between how you were parenting before and how you're parenting now? I know you've answered that in sketchy things in some of your answers, but more like you can give us examples with your marriage, with the way that you relate with your work, with your children. How has the inner circle changed you? Whether it is personal change, parental change, marital change, spiritual change, whichever angle that you actually would want to take it from.
Yeah, so changes everywhere. I used to run kitty kitty kata kata as coach will always say. Now I run with purpose. I run on my lane. I don't shift into somebody's lane. Now, I start with personal development.
Mm.
I have grown so much that I'm more confident. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm heading to. I can I can almost predict how the future looks like because I believe in the work. Because I believe once you put in the work, you should get the results. It's not coach will say I'm not Igbo, but coach will say kalo kalo. I just imagine what the kalo kalo means inside. So I've moved from just doing things spontaneously to doing things purposeful. And then my relationship with my children
Mm.
has gone deeper. The relationship I wouldn't be able to give a clear cut because the oldest is just 6. So you can imagine at the time I joined in Aseku, they were not old enough to be able to understand certain relationships. But I see the difference in it. And then I see that I see my reflection in my children and I'm happy with what I see.
Mm.
They go out there. I've heard report from different people. These are people. It's not like we had a chat with them before. Somebody met me, who went to pick his child. His daughter is the same class with my son. He saw me and then he said, "There's this confidence your son comes out from school with." I said, "Eh." He said he knows there must be a training somewhere. This person doesn't know anything about inner self or anything. He said he knows there
Mm.
must be a training somewhere.
Mm.
And then when you go to places like church, it's difficult to get children to sit down and all those kind of things. Obviously, I'm not trying to contain children, but they learn to understand places, what to do, and you children, you often have to put some little things there. But even from church, you hear people say things like, "Oh, your children are good," giving some compliments like that. It's not, I don't rely on compliments, but it gives a sense of, reassurance that what you're doing, the result is also seen out there.
Mm.
And then in my marriage, yeah, just yesterday, my husband was asking when is the next, when are we starting when is the next couples conclave? I said I will try and get the information to sign up. He wasn't so much into mentorship before,
Mm.
but with, when coach said just the way you get your husband to buy you wig, that's how you get him to do the things you want him to do in the yard. So I don't know how. In fact, sometimes I'll go to work, my husband will tell me, "Hey, that webinar, can you just give me the link?" So he will watch on my phone, like the webinars I've watched already. You get my phone, can you watch? I said, just watch. Emotionally intelligent parent. I had to catch replay, but my husband, I had to catch I had to catch replay for most of the session for becoming emotionally intelligent parent because of work. My husband had, by the time I come back, he would have watched the sessions before me that registered for the course.
I can just imagine. Is it
With
me with
little
his wig?
introduction like that, you done, and then coming to.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So it has helped with my bonding. We are now, because it has helped with the bonding because we are working towards a common goal, and then
Mm.
putting all things together. And then because with the results that is coming, it's not as if as I said earlier, my husband was the one who first introduced me to the No Yelling Challenge. But when he just passed it to me and stepped back, you go do the work and all those things.
Mm.
But with time, chipping in one webinar at a time, one tool at a time, because I intentionally get him to do some of the tools with the children, just for him to feel. And then he's seeing the connection and seeing the result. And then my husband is fully into inner circle. He's not a registered yarder, yes, but he does. He behaves yardastically too, I would say, as well. And in my marriage, I realize now because when one aspect is settled, there's a way the other aspect becomes easier to deal with. So I
Truly.
don't have issues struggling around parenting. Yes, it helps because stress is one of the things that affect marriage. And once you are able to deal with stress, then you have time for other things. We're able to bond together. We're able to work at, raising our children together. And then looking at coach and the golf, we we just like it. We just like it, and it helps us to see that okay, even in the inner circle, coach keeps mentioning marriage because you can't have if your marriage is not working, it's going to be a hard work. It's going to be harder for you to parent intentionally. So that aspect has helped me in marriage. And in my work, I I don't know. Initially I was saying it's favor, but I got to understand there's a way I do it that I don't even know I do it that way.
Mm,
I just do the thing with, the structure in inner circle, that not perfectionism, but that's seeking for excellence. I bring excellence even in my workplace. So
mm,
when if I'm dealing with this thing, I make sure that I dot the T's, cross the I's. I just don't do it because I am paid to do it. I do it
mm,
because I am here for a reason, and I do it with purpose. I don't take any other thing lightly again. That's one change I realized. I don't take
mm,
things lightly again. If I'm there to do it, I do it. If I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. So
mm,
I put that intentionality even in my work, even with every aspect that is there. I don't I can't think of an aspect of my life who where I the inner circle has not impacted. I really cannot think about it. And if I continue talking, at least coach, by now you'd have realized I love to talk. If I continue talking, we will not finish the session today.
I love it. We all love you to talk. You have the stage to talk. That's why we're here. We're here to listen to you talk, and that's about it. You know, one of the things that that we must begin to actually look at is that we need to, work things around. We need to um, begin to look at our family system as a holistic system. So we are not saying, oh, okay, so you do this part and then the other part are suffering and all of that. One of the things that the inner circle does for you is that it encompasses everything. There was something that Sarah said this morning that was a striking thing for me. She said, I didn't even understand what it was at work. I used to think it was just favor, but I started to pay attention and I realized that there are things that I am doing. Like we say in the inner circle, favor is curated. That's the truth. All right. Favor is curated. And if you learn what it is that you need to do, okay, you would actually have these experiences. There is a there's a there's a consequence for every action that you display. Every action. So it's very important that you begin to look at your parenting from that. And when people come into the inner circle, they say, so what do they do? I'm like, we can't explain really. As in, how do you explain transformation? Really? A whole transformation 360 degrees like that is almost impossible to actually explain it, right? So Sarah is here sharing all the way from United Kingdom, and she is sharing on my intentional parenting journey. And she's a nurse in the UK, and she is sharing her journey because a lot has happened to her. One of the things that Sarah has said to you today is that excuses are cheap. Those that make them are not wise. And she said something. He said something to he said something to, in this conversation that I really love. She said, anything that you are doing, make sure that you are able to stay in a system and get rooted. Get, don't it's not here, there. There's something about being rooted that actually gives you the result you want. You might really think that you have a result when you're not in the system. I've seen a lot of people say that to me. You might really think so, right? And I was in Uyo over the weekend for the TIP summit to you. And there's a yada that owns the school, Brainy Hive. It was so evident. She said that in her school, that when she is there in her school, and that she can actually sit down and pick out the children of parents in the inner circle. And it's so easy. That at a time they sat down, that was her husband speaking, Dr. Gunshola, that they sat down and they noticed that there were a particular set of children winning awards, there were a particular set of children winning competition, there were a particular set of children behaving well, they did a poll. All of them were children of parents in the inner circle. We they work, they show. We're unapologetic about it. It's the fruit of our labor. We they work, they show. That's just the conclusion of it. Sarah, talk to us. Tell us about the webinars. You are an old other. So I'm even thinking about the webinars. Don't call 10 for us. Tell us about the webinars that have made the most impact on you. 3 top webinars. What have they done for you? What has happened? And how do you work it out? Over to you.
Where do I start from? Do I bring my notes, coach, and start reading the notes for here? I don't know where to start from. Okay. I would say the month of February, that's the becoming an emotionally intelligent parent. The session, and let me start by webinars. Coach, now I'm getting it all mixed up. I don't know which of the webinars to pick. Which of the webinars to pick. But rest as a skill has been a standout for me. Simply because of the nature of the work I do, resting is like being lazy. That's how people see it. Like, you're just being lazy. But having a structure and the way the whole course came, the way it's just gave me a whole different view of what rest is. I didn't if you coach, even if you beat me few years ago, no, before this year, even if you beat me, there's no way I will see rest as a skill. How will you tell me rest is a skill? You just even if you beat me, I wouldn't know that is a skill. So when I saw the title of the webinar, rest, because for some reason that's the first time I attended rest as a skill in inner circle. I dropped out and then came out. So when I came back,
Came back the
so
curriculum.
when I saw the title, I was like, say rest. It's not the same rest. Yes, coach.
Yeah, I said by the time you came back, the
I When I
curriculum.
saw the title rest has changed.
Hmm.
Has changed, but inner circle is still inner circle anyways. So I saw rest as a skill, and then I'm wondering, rest skill. Do you need to learn to rest? I mean, we can just rest our rest. We don't need to learn to rest.
Hmm.
So then, but that made me to prioritize rest.
Hmm.
I don't just rest because I don't take my rest as a spare time thing. When you have the spare time, you just find it rest. No, 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 no. Rest has become part of my daily schedule, like the curriculum of the day. Rest has to
Hmm.
be part of it. And then I get to replenish my energy. Now that doing that makes me to cut down things that are not necessary, because we
Yeah.
all have 24 hours. You cannot do all the things you are doing in the same 24 hours and expect to rest. So I cut down a lot of things, and I find out that I am having I used sometimes I before I just used to have like we call it the feeling of palpitation. It's not really palpitation. When you're just anxious
Oh.
about, your head is just all over the place, just everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I learned rest as a skill, I shut down at
Hmm.
certain points. I just shut down for that restful period. And by the time after the resting, I come back stronger and I'm able to even achieve more than I used to. Because Before, I will not rest and I will still not achieve anything. I'll just get it. At the end of the day, when you're reflecting on the day, you wonder, what have I even used the day to be doing? I've just been doing busy. I've been busy doing nothing. Yeah. So so now I know I do it with purpose and all that. And then the webinar on honor as a skill. Yeah, honor as a skill. It gave me a different dimension of what honor is. Really, is I didn't think of honor at that path, and I started with honoring myself. And I didn't know that you need to honor your children as like honor. I know that yes, our children are, but like in Africa, we know that children honor parents. We don't look at it the other way around.
Mm.
So it gave me a different perspective, to honor these people, to honor them as wholesome individuals themselves. And then
Mm.
what that has done to me, it gave me a bigger picture of who they are. So I
Mm.
don't see them as the little humans that they are. I
Mm.
see the bigger picture of who these people are, and I honor them as that picture that I
Mm.
see. So it gave me a different perspective, and I learned not to talk. As women, we find ourselves talking, and somebody like me that have a spiritual gift of talking, we talk and talk and talk about it. I find out that I stopped talking about people in authority. I mean, people who are in the place of impact, because I know that I shouldn't say that. So even when you go on social media, I'm not a social media, like I'm not so much into social media. But when somebody says a thing and you say, oh, why are they saying this? Or when somebody, why are they saying this? I learned to honor people in authority. I learned not
Mm.
to say, I'm telling you, before I used to complain of some things coach says. Oh, sometimes coach says, I say coach self, some of these things before. But when I learned honor as a skill, I know that as long as I subject myself to this authority, I'll follow it. Is it okay? It's not okay. I just follow. So which other one again, coach? Hey, the webinars are just a lot. Should we start from which one again? I think I mentioned some, I don't know. I don't know which one now. They are just everywhere flowing around. These ones are the ones I can think of examples, like just at the spot to give. But every webinar in the inner circle comes with, a different level of understanding, a different impact. There are times where I read the Bible, and then when I attend inner circle webinar, it's as if I have heard it before.
Mm.
It sounds like the coach will mention something, it's as if I've heard this thing before.
Mm.
Now I discovered that in inner circle, I learned how God speak to me
Mm.
from the inner circle. One
Mm.
of my takeaways from inner circle. I learned how God speaks to me in inner circle. And this has happened right from the first time I joined inner circle, where my pastor and mentor, I'll go to church, my pastor. So inner circle webinar is on Thursday. I'll attend inner circle webinar on Thursday. When I go to church on Sunday, there will always be one exact same thing that coach has said that I will still hear from my pastor. These people don't know themselves.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes even to the extent of the books that coach will mention in the webinar. Now, not inner circle books, like maybe she mention, oh, from this book I read it, maybe she will cite a quote or mention something about a book. I'll go to church and my pastor will mention the exact same book.
Wow.
Now that's how I discovered my purpose
Hmm.
for life.
Wow.
I joined the Masterpiece Women program for this, cohort 5. The purpose I went in with, I discovered it through inner circle from webinars. I just sat down in one of the webinar was not about that purpose. It wasn't about discovering your purpose or anything like that. But there was a profound statement that coach mentioned. And immediately it came, I knew that it was a message for me.
Hmm.
And then I went to church. In fact, coach, I went to church. It was a whole program, it's an annual program in church that we do. And
Hmm.
then it's called Changing Your World. And then the title, the central message of that that whole program was exactly what coach mentioned. And then so when with repetition, I will hear from coach, I will hear from church, I will read out. I got to understand how God speaks to me from the inner circle.
Awesome. And I think that that's one of the most profound things I've heard on my intentional parenting journey. I got to understand how God speaks to me from the inner circle. And secondly, Sarah said, I discovered my purpose. The webinar was not, nobody will teach you, come and learn how to be, your purpose is not lost. So we're not looking for it. On your journey to transformation, your purpose will be clear in your face. The webinars are not information, they are transformational. Thank you, Professor Chris, this weekend. They are transformational, they are empowering, they are divine instruction. It's in the inner circle you learn things that you never will learn elsewhere in the way you learn it. Pastor Kelechi Chibuzo came all the way from Calabar to you over the weekend to actually share his journey. He said, I came here to share with you, fathers, what has happened to me on my journey. He's a pastor in a big church. He said, this is what has happened to me. This is how my journey has gone. It was a public testimony. And she said something very profound. He said, even me as a pastor, I learned honor in the inner circle. And I've pastored for years. These are men in their 60s. So it's not even about your age. No, it has nothing to do with your age. It has nothing to do with, when instructions are divine, they are divine. It doesn't even matter how much you argue or fight it. It's a divinely orchestrated, system. Like Sarah said, I don't know her pastor. This is the first time I've been hearing her talk about, it. I don't know who her pastor is. I've never heard it. But that's how you understand that God is in a place. When you can actually, because the spirit is one. That's the truth. The spirit is one. That's what happens. And some of the things that you learn in the yard, you learn it and you're like, where have I been? Where have I been? Finding purpose. When people say, oh, I'm going on a journey of finding purpose, you won't find it. Quote me. Because there's no journey of finding purpose. It is in your transformation that you actually are able to meet with purpose. And you're already living a life of purpose, like I always say, whether in the negative or in the positive. Your purpose is, the purpose is, there's a purpose. So it is not really about, oh, I will go there. You see all those purpose finding classes you attend. Sorry, if you are somebody who creates that, I'm sorry. But the truth of the matter is that there's no purpose finding nada. You would need to walk through your becoming to actually find you. To actually find you. And it is when you find you will be able to connect. People come to me and say, how will I hear God? How do I, you talk about hearing God. You talk about connecting with God. You can't hear God if you don't work on yourself. That's the truth. It's in your becoming that you actually position to hear God. It is in your becoming. Until you become, you won't even know. Do you know that I was reading the Bible and I realized that a lot of the people that we read about actually had a life before they heard from God. What happened to that life? What happened to it before they heard? It is because there is a journey that had to happen before they began to actually hear God and began to do exploits. Abraham lived 70-something years. Are you trying to say that in 70-something years he didn't know God? He did. But there was a working he needed to do to be able to hear God that clearly to make a move at 70-something. So it's not age. Abraham didn't get it until he was in his 70s. So it's possible for you to say, I've been parenting since 19 Brigidim. Oh, my children are all in the university. This is the time you would need to actually do the work. Thank you. Shout out to the governor. If you don't yield, you can't hear. We fly by instructions. If you don't yield, you can't hear. It's an instruction taking system. Life, destiny is about taking instructions. That's what it is. And when Sarah was talking, she was talking about, I call it rebellion. Lack of honor is rebellion. Sometimes we even rebel in our mind. Your pastor is speaking. You are like, this thing that he's saying, does it really work? It's a spirit of rebellion. And it's because you didn't learn honor as a skill. Oh, this thing that she said like this, I don't really like the way that she said it. Oh, maybe that's even what God wants you to hear, particularly. But you're fighting. In your fight, you cannot, without honor, you can't hear God. You won't even know when God is speaking, because God will speak through people. Many times he will. So without honor, you cannot hear. Let me give you a typical example. I love the Bible stories. You know the general, right? I'm not going to mention his name. Let me see Bible scholars in the building. The general who had leprosy and was told by the prophet, go and wash yourself 7 times in the river. When he heard it, the first thing he said was, what rubbish, like many of you. You about the inner circle, what nonsense? Why are they putting me through all of this? I should come and be, learning. Oh, I should just come and sit down and listen to what he did. The man said, what nonsense? I am not going to wash nada. I'm too big. I'm a general. I can see Bible scholars. Yada, shout out to you. Naaman, I'm a general. I am above this kind of thing. That's how some of you actually think. They tell you that your solution is here. You say, I beg, this thing that you're saying, are you sure that general? I'm sure he was commanding a lot of battalion. And then me, the commander of a battalion, I should go to the stream and wash. And why didn't you lay hands on me to pray? Because Naaman thought that his salvation will come from the way he thinks it. Yeah, but that's not how it works. Because that's not how God works either. So Naaman needed to learn. The slave girl saved Naaman. God saved him through the slave girl. It was a slave girl who said, Oga, let's do this thing that this prophet have said. That's the truth. Biko, just help us. Let us just go and do it. That is inside. That it didn't look like what it should. You meet your pastor. Your pastor, you say, Pastor, pray for me. Your pastor say, it is well with you. Go in peace. You come out. You are angry. Why did he tell me to do? Why didn't he pray for me? I said you should come and pray for me. All these pastors, don't they know their job? Well done, oh. Well done. The spirit of rebellion, the spirit of lack of following of instruction cuts you off from being able to hear from God. If you can't subject yourself to instructions, you can't hear God. Because God does not give opinions. He gives instructions all the time. God doesn't share opinions with you. He doesn't say, do you think you can do this? No. He gives you express instruction. This is what I need you to do. He told Abraham, pack your load, stand up and go to this nation, because it's in that nation that we make you the father of many nations. Why didn't God make him the father of many nations where he was? Or you think God is too small to do that? No. God needed to train Abraham to be able to actually listen to instructions wholly and do it without understanding it. So if you're not an instruction taker, you cannot hear God, because God is an opinion giver, he's an instruction giver. One of the things that we train our children for in the inner circle is the way how to take instruction, especially from authority figures. Very important. It's now sounding like a webinar. Talk to us, Sarah. What will be your top 3 books in the inner circle? Over to you.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What will be your top 3 webinars? What top 3 books in the inner circle, not webinar? Top 3 books.
Top 3 books, of course. First one, Connect to Correct. Connect to Correct. That's where we start from. And then which one do I go for now? Hey, coach, you have put me in this. All the books. Connect to correct. Discipline is not an emergency. And then which book? The last one we read. Coach, I don't know which books to call now. I feel like I'm being biased. I'm being biased with listing of the book. No, yeah, yes. I'm just thinking if it's the one now. Yeah, let me pick it. Resolving sibling rivalry, connect to correct, the discipline that works. Discipline is not an emergency. Oh, coach, you said only for you know, they are just. I honestly can't pick which one of them because they hit me differently at different parts. So if you just for the sake of literature, let's say connect to correct, discipline is not an emergency, and then resolving sibling rivalry. Okay. Raising the boy, you don't need to bail out. Coach, there are lots. There are lots. I don't know which one to go now. Can you help me pick the top three?
That will no longer be your idea. It will now be my idea. But I
Okay.
think that yes, the books can do that to you. Yeah, it's okay for you to pick any three.
Yeah. And it's now looking like which one is the title of which one. These like the books are interlaced now. I'm beginning to pick out. So which title is for this one that I learned? Which title? It looks like the book are all interlaced in one whole syllable now.
Okay, so all right, Sarah has named connect to correct, resolving sibling rivalry, and raising the boy. You do not need to bail out. All of the books are, all of the books are all all well put together, and the books are for you to actually learn and do something differently. Now, one of the things that happens in the inner circle is that when people come in, they fight this book reading. Like that's one thing that people fight. I thought we just come here. They will just give us what we need and just we will not do anything. Come closer. There is a responsibility for you. We will do our part and you will do your part in the yard. But reading opens up your mind and also helps you to assimilate the learnings in the inner circle. Reading is one thing that over the weekend I was teaching at the couples conclave retreat, and one of the fathers asked me, I'm a very busy man, I do this, I do that, how do I develop myself? I really want to. And I said to him, sir, do you have time to eat? He froze. He said, yeah, I eat. So I said, like my father in the Lord, I heard him, Bishop David Oyedepo. He said, if you can eat, you can read. You know the truth. You don't need more than 15 to 30 minutes every day to finish a book in 10 days. That's the truth. The problem is that you have not cultured yourself. The problem is not time. The problem is that you have not cultured yourself to sit and read. Is the culture. Is the culture. So you need to now culture yourself to actually be able to read. And that's what inner circle does for you. That's what it does for you. It gets you to culture yourself. No matter how busy you are, you get to eat. So even when you're at work, you tell yourself, I've not eaten all day. Hey, I'm so tired. All day I've not eaten. You still find somewhere in that all day where you are so busy to now fit in that eating. But you shall eat. No matter how busy. Sometimes you eat standing up, right? You can read standing up. Same way, same thing, same principle. If you look at reading as food for your mind, then you will read. The same thing with our relationship with God. If you look at it as something that is important to you, same thing, you will put it as your soul. That's what you need for your soul to become alive. Honestly speaking, you will read. That's the truth. So people ask me, how do you study the Bible? I can sit 4 hours studying the Bible. I've just realized that if you make something a priority, it becomes a priority. That's the truth. And I've also come to a place where there are things you can never unlock without reading the word of God. There are things you can never unlock without reading books. You can never get there in life. You will become, but you never get there. So why do I want to live my life without being able to actually get to the end? If you can culture yourself and learn this one trait, it's a culture. You just culture yourself and say, before I sleep every day, I'm going to sit with a book for 10 minutes. Do you know that 10 minutes is enough? Is enough for you to achieve a lot. So, you see that 10 minutes you use to scroll through your social media. Let me check what's happening on social media. You can convert it. And that makes a whole lot of difference. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. You have Sarah Shadrach all the way from England. Sarah said something that is very instructive. Sarah is one of those yadas who is a prodigal yada. She is back. She went away for a while. She said, I went with the resources that I had. Somewhere in my mind, I have all it takes. Now I don't have time. Coach, you know this guy, coach, wait first. I beg. This money that I want to pay this year, let me just keep it. And then I will go away with the resources I have. Some people even come to me and say, the webinar, can I still have access? So that, I will just do it on my own through the year. We will not. Sarah said she continued doing the tools. She continued doing, but at some point, resources, everything went down, depleted. And like the prodigal son, she walked back into the yard. And the yard is home, like she rightly stated. She walked back into the yard and said, here I am, I've returned again. And of course, she was met with an open arms. That's how we do it here. We just want you to know that the journey is yours to take. And that's an important aspect of your journey. As we begin to conclude this morning, Sarah, people are watching in this, webinar today, and they are wondering, okay, what is that thing that will make me register for this class and actually stay on, or even continue to register? Some people come and say, so we'll continue to register. Oh, really? And what is that thing? What is that advice? That one word that you want to leave with them?
When you take your parenting as a business, you will know that you need to work at it. So imagine setting up a business and your life, you want to, make that business your ultimate. That's your source of income, that's where your name is attached. I'm not sure you would joke with that business. I would advise anyone, see your family as a business and work through it. You can have tools, you can have resources out there, but every human being needs accountability. You cannot do it all alone. Like we're not designed. We're designed. We're beings of connection. That's what I see. Human beings are meant to connect, and there's something about being in a place where there are people who have gone ahead of you. When I say ahead of you, it might not be in age, it might not be in life experiences or anything, but if somebody is committed to a course, is committed to doing something, they would definitely research more, do more study on it. So see your family as a business. Look at what benefit do I get? I tell you, I cannot single-handedly pinpoint the benefits of Inner Circle just in one session for just 1 hour with coach. That's not enough for me to say. But come into the yard, come and receive from the wealth of understanding, especially for book reviews. Book review is not coach that does book review, it's other people that do book reviews. When you come and then by the time you see examples from people and then people share their results, for myself, other people's results actually inspire me to do more. I don't get discouraged because somebody is having results that I don't have yet, because we're on a different lane. Seeing that people are doing this thing and it's bringing results, anchors your faith in the process.
Mm.
So if you are out there, you can try something, but it's just like when you try and it fails out there, there's a tendency for you not to try again. There's a
Yeah.
tendency for you to give up because
Yeah.
there's nobody holding you, accountable for it. But when you come into a system where there are other people, you will see people like you will see people who are not up to where you are, you will see people who are far ahead of you. That gives you that reassurance that yes, even if it didn't work out the way I want it to work out, there are other people also being in the journey. So it gives you that sense of security. You
Mm.
feel covered. It's like when you have a covering over you, you know that okay, this is what I'm doing, and then it gives you a sense of identity as well.
Mm.
Because there's no way you be in the yard and really do the yard and you don't identify as a yard. I don't know how to put it. It just gives you that identity. When you know that this is the course I'm on to, this is what I do. I belong to this
Mm.
community, and I know
Mm.
that this community is watching my back. And there you can build connection. You can get to meet people, that live in your area where you live and things like that. And you get encouragement. As a parent, I think one of the things we need more
Yeah.
is encouragement, because through
Yeah.
the journey of parenting, there are ups and downs. Some of the downs are very, very down. So you need a system where where
When
somebody
you
is there.
are
You watch if you Yeah, somebody
down.
is there to hold you. You are seeing other
Mm.
people doing it.
Mm.
They do it and they feel they still come back again to do it. And then you know that, oh,
Mm.
myself too, I can fall and still come back again. It's not as if we are perfect in the next. I say myself, I wouldn't say that I'm 100%. I try my best, of course, to do what I need to do. But even if you commit, even if you do just 75% of what is being done in the yard, I am telling you, your results will be remarkable.
Mm.
Even if you cannot, you're too busy that you can't do, nobody is even asking you for 100. If you can give 100%, of course you're welcome. But even if
Mm.
you can do, in fact, even if you can do 60% of what is in the yard, you would have results.
Mm. Awesome. Awesome. Even if you can do 60, but I usually say if you can stay in the yard, 10% safe will give you result. That's the truth. Because most of the times we think that it's about how much. No. When it comes to because I'm a gym person. I've been in the gym now for almost 4 years. One of the things I realized about going to the gym and working on my body is that it's not about how much you do on a daily basis. It's rather about how consistent you stay for the long run. If you do 1,000 squats in a day and you don't get to do it in the next 5 days, the person who does 20 squats a day every day has a better advantage over you, because it's about cumulative advantage. So it is not about how much you do, it's about how consistent you do it. It's same thing in your business, same thing in your parenting, it's same thing in the game. The name of the game is consistency. That's the name of the game. And I'm going to begin to round up to let our guests go before I round off on a few things that I need to talk to you today. Don't go away, even when our guest is away. I have something for you, all right? And it's very, very instructive with what it is that Sarah has shared this morning about being alone. I have something that have dropped in my spirit that I'm going to drop for you as the prophet. Yes, please stay and receive it. Sarah, what would be that one word you describe inner secular? Do you have one word?
It's personal. I call it my place of becoming.
Hmm.
I call it Adolam. Adolam is from the Bible,
Hmm.
because I think the way Adolam is described, that's exactly how I see the inner circle. It's my place of safety.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's just what I will say. It's my place of becoming, place
Hmm.
of safety
Hmm.
in my parenting journey.
Awesome. It's my place of becoming, it's my place of safety in my parenting journey. Sarah already shared that the inner circle will give you security and also give you identity. I think that's one of my biggest takeaways. Identity of who you are and who you should be on the journey. This morning, you've listened to Sarah Shadrach, all the way from United Kingdom. She's a nurse in United Kingdom and parenting. She's been in the inner circle for years, and she's here telling you what inner circle have done for her. We're going to let Sarah go this morning. I want to celebrate you and appreciate you. Of course, you know that I love you, I honor you. Thank you for being here. I do not take your time for granted. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Yadas.
Alrighty. So, as Sarah was talking, I remember the scripture, Ecclesiastes 4:10. Sarah said something. She said, when you are down, you can actually be down and be down, down, down. Because parenting has its up and down. And it's in that up and down that you actually get a true test of what parenting is. You know the truth. Even the best of us get to that point of down. You know, Ecclesiastes 4:10 said, woe to him that is alone. Woe unto him that is alone. Because when he falleth, for he had not another to help him up. This is a deep reminder of the power of support, community, companionship. We don't do life alone. We do life in communities. We don't do life alone. If you do life alone, woe unto you. That's what the Bible is saying. When you walk in partnership, there is strength. There is strength. Parenting is not a solo journey. When the scripture says, woe unto him that is alone when he falls, it speaks to parents who try to do this work of raising their children in isolation. Every parent will have moments of failing. If you didn't want to join the inner circle for any other thing, please join, because woe is unto him that is alone. There are times where your child behavior will confuse you. There are times where your child behavior, you will feel tired of everything. Yet nothing is working. There are times where you feel guilty. There are times where you have doubts. Am I sure that this is okay? There are times where you are exhausted. In those moments, if you are parenting alone, no community, no guidance, no coach, no accountability, it becomes really hard. I say something all the time to the others. A coach is a spotter of blind spots. A coach is the spotter of blind spots. That's why you have a coach. When you are driving, even with all the driving school that you go to, when you are driving, there is a place you get to that actually, you will see it, it's called blind spot. They say, oh, it was in my blind spot. A blind spot because you can't see everything, no matter who you are. No matter who you are, you can never see anything, everything. That's why you need a coach. It's a coach that will see something that you don't see. That's the truth. That's why I work with coaches for even my own journey. No matter how perfect you are as a parent, there are blind spots. And blind spots can be a terrible thing if you miss it. Over the weekend, I was listening to David Folorami, and he was sharing his journey on his drug addiction journey to the people, at the TIP summit. And he said, my parents didn't see it, even though they did everything they knew how to do. You can do everything, but that will be subject to what you know per time. So every time you said, I am doing everything, I'm working it out, you are actually giving your children a disadvantage. You can't see everything yourself. And when people say experience is the best teacher, I agree. But it must not be your own experience. That's one thing that has saved my life. I'm able to watch the experiences of others And I'm able to ask myself, this experience, how does it make a difference in my own life? Parenting doesn't reward isolation. It rewards intentionality and community. Parenting doesn't reward isolation. It rewards intentionality and community. Don't parent alone. When the fall will come, because it will fall, it will come. If you are not in a place where you can be pulled up, you will drown. You will drown. And the truth of the matter is that when you drown, the people who pay the price are your children. A parent came to me last week and shared with me what has happened to her about her daughter. When I dissected it for her in a one-on-one session, she said to me, Coach, I never saw it like this. You can't. You're not called to it. There are people who have been called to help you on this journey. There are people who have been called. And if you miss that system, you will struggle for life. I leave you with these words. Every parent would have their struggle. The problem is not the struggle. I was talking to a friend recently, and I said, the problem is not the mistakes the children are making. The problem is having the tools. If you walk alone in the moment, when your teenager starts to lie, when your 6-year-old is throwing a tantrum, is embarrassing you, when you feel exhausted and guilty because you are falling at a balance, if you're walking alone in that moment, it will crush you. But if you have a community of parents, a hand that will pull you up in the time of stumble, parenting is too heavy for you to carry it alone. You need community. You need people. You need people. You need to be able to say, I am in the right space. You need the stability that comes with knowledge. The Bible said that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times. Of our times. So that is something that you would like to actually begin to look at in your life. It is important for you to walk through your system and have the right support. And if you have the right support, it changes everything. Today, I want you to take this as your take home. That you don't win in isolation. You actually win in intentionality and in community. The inner circle is a place where you can actually put in a lot. You don't need to do one heavy thing one weekend. You need to just be consistent. Get yourself into a system and consistently build. This offer on my screen ends today. The 24 hours discount. The beautiful thing is that if you book a slot, you will still be able to stay within the offer. But every payment, of course, you're supposed to ensure that you will make the payment before November 31st. If you don't, you won't enter. I was sharing over the weekend in Uyo, and I said to the parents, I said, whether a parent had an issue over the weekend, right? She needed me to do something, blah, 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 and all of that. And then she had to pay for 2 sessions. One-on-one session with me, an hour, 200,000. It's not, there's no, it's given. She paid for 2, that's 400,000. And I said to her, I said, yes, it's okay that you have paid this money to be able to come and get solution. But if you've been in the inner circle, truly, in the past 4 years, paying 100,000 every year, you would have had more strategies and you would have been better positioned. Because the process is still the same. You still go through that process. And unfortunately, what pains me is not the money, because some of us have this money to pay and it's not a problem. What pains me is the fact that this money, our children pay the price of those mistakes with their lives. Don't allow your child to pay the price of the mistakes with their lives. It's uncalled for. It's unnecessary. There is a solution to your problem. Don't wait until the yam has been rotting inside, until the yam can no longer be salvaged. There's a solution. There's what to do. And even when that thing happens, and then you run kitty, you come in, because these days the first thing you hear is, "Oh, my child is watching porn. Coach, can you help me do something now?" There's nothing I can do now that will change it. It is still you. It is still you that will need to actually walk through the journey. So you need to make a choice. You need to decide. This is how I want to actually run this. This is how I want to take, like Sarah said, I want my parenting to be a business. My husband and I have paid prices. People get to reach out to us and say, "Oh, your son, oh, your daughter, hey, there's a price we have paid." I say again, if you don't pay a price for your children at 0 to 10, that's when training happens. Correction happens after 10. So you see that correction you are doing before you train is blabberdash. Correction only happens after 10. In between 0 and 10, you're training heavily. That's a very instructive thing for us to carry on. Run your family as a business. It will change your life. But if you don't, you will still pay the price at the end. I've been privileged, very highly privileged, to actually have parents in their 60s. The oldest Yada father is 80 years old. And I've been privileged to have conversations with him. I know his regrets. I understand it. And he said to me, "I wish there were more. There was something more." I still met a 70-year-old father over the weekend who is in the yard. And he sat with me and he said, "Some of these things, I wish I was able to do with my 40-something-year-olds. But it's never too late. You can still reset." I love that book, The Parenting Reset. That's one of my upcoming books. By the way, on the 6th of October, there is going to be a flash sale of my new books. All right. I hope that you are already in the community so that you can get these books. You get them for 39,500. You save a whooping 20,000 naira for the original prices. Each of these books, have instructive words for you. I don't know whether my best will be raising the lifelong learner or my best will be raising the social genius. But maybe parenting reset. I don't even know. The Camp Parenting Framework, Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, Volume 5, Parenting Lessons from the Bible. All of these books are going to be up for the flash sale on the 6th of October. Only on the 6th are we going to give it at that price. After the 6th, we start pre-order and you're going to be paying 60,000 naira for the whole books. All right. And then you also get access to one of the latest courses that I'm building. It's called the Parenting Reset. And I'm building it for parents of older children who feel that their life, there's nothing else to do. I want to prove to you that it's not true. I have done it over and over again. And I've seen parents, the life of many parents turn around. Justice Omolola Adeyemi is here. She shares her journey lavishly. And she says, I came in when my children were all grown. So the fact that your children are grown is not the end of it. There is still hope. There's still what it is that you can do. All right. And of course, these books are part of our curriculum for next year. Okay. And level 1, level 2, different levels. And you want to actually get them, sit with them and read them. I have been called for such a time as this. And I know. The truth of the matter is, somebody needs to actually, every generation and every dispensation has someone that God is sending in that moment. Some of us are sent to a time like this, and we know it unapologetically. I am called. If you are, like my father in the Lord said the other day, he said, if you are in this church, I'm your prophet. I'm called for you. I'm called for you. You are not here in error. So if you are listening to me, ensure that you have joined the flash sale team. This link you're sharing is, I think, is full. You need to share the second link. Thank you for the flash sale. Join the flash sale so you will be part of the flash sale on the 6th of October. Only anticipate. It's our 6-in-1 flash sale. Our 6-in-1 flash sale. That said, this is where we come to the end of the conversation today on my intentional parenting journey. Remember that the discount is for you. Please pay attention to it. Join us. Join us today. Join us today. Do not miss it. Don't miss being in the inner circle, because if you miss it, your children will still have, they will grow. They will grow. Your children will not stop growing. Your children will not stop growing. All right? So please join us and you will see the transformation that will happen in your life. Remember, this is not, about any other thing. The truth of the matter is that whether you do the time now or you do it later, either way you do it. And the number of people that have come to share my intentional parenting journey cannot be lying. They can't be lying. There's a lot that you can take away. See you again tomorrow at 8 o'clock. It's been my pleasure, and it's been really, really awesome to have you here this morning. See you at 2 p.m. on our Tuesday live. Like I promised you, Tuesday live throughout this season is going to be, it's going to be hot, hot, hot. Stay tuned. See you at the cathedral right here at 3 p.m. Have an amazing day, everybody.
Common phrases in the inner circle. Let's go.
You're coming for an inner circle webinar and you're not with your yellow blanket with red trimmings. Is that even a joke?
Oh, I'm running and I'm not looking back because 10,000 lions are chasing me. I have watched all the webinars, but today, Coach came with a bazooka.
Even with my humility agbada, I still collected.
If you're not in the ark, you better enter now because flood na bia o.
In the inner circle, we dey walk and they show.
CIP police is coming for you. There is no need harness here.
You definitely cannot relate because you are not in the yard.
If you are not in the yard,
why not?